So Canon introduced two new cameras in 2025, the V1 and the 50V, and most reviewers will be comparing those two, but I'm comparing the V1 with the older yet beloved original R50.
Yes, it's an older camera, but it can still take great photos, 4K 30 oversampled video, great autofocus, and some tricks up its sleeve. Now sure, there's a new R50, and it's called the R50V with this sleek, minimalist design. So you may ask, why are we not comparing this one?
May I ask why?
Because it's basically a vlogging camera, but the original R50...
The R50 has been really popular. Currently, it's like the #1 selling camera on Amazon. And the original R50, it's an APS-C camera, and it's one of the more affordable APS-C cameras and really competes with a lot of other brands, and including even other Canon APS-C cameras. So we're comparing the most popular with the newest. Did Canon make a step forward, a step backwards, or a step sideways? We're gonna find out in this video. In a prior video, I compared the V1 against this R50 just for a quick test to compare the lens quality, and I was a little surprised how well the R50 did compared to this new V1. So I want to see if those differences hold up. Maybe that was just an anomaly. So how am I going to compare these two? The V1, in case you're not familiar with this camera, has a fixed lens. You can't take it off. It's a non-removable 16 to 15 millimeter lens, whereas the Canon R50's lens is interchangeable. You can put on whatever lens you want. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use just the kit lens. And why am I going to do that? Because I want to make this test as fair as possible. I don't want to put an expensive lens on it. This already has a larger sensor than the V1, not much larger. This is a specially designed sensor in the V1. It's around the size of a micro 4/3, and this is an APS-C size sensor. And by the way, I have no vested interest in which camera comes out on top. I'm not sponsored by Canon in any way. I bought these with my own money.
Talking about money, the V1 is under $1,000, even though the price has gone up from the original price. And the R50 with the kit lens is also under $1,000. Now here is the clip from my V1 review where I saw the R50 possibly a little sharper on the bricks in telephoto mode, so I want to duplicate that experiment in another scene of these flowers. I'm going to show you two shots from two different cameras around the same focal length. Which one is which? Well, this is the R50. So let's crop in now as we did before. Take a good look at the detail on the purple flower. Compare it to the V1. Yeah, maybe the R50 is a little sharper, but it's not as much as I had originally thought. Now let's look at wide angle. I'm not going to go full wide on the R50. I want to match them up. Here's the V1. Here's the R50. I'm seeing a little bit of a contrast and saturation difference more than anything else. Let's crop in again. Here we're cropping in on the V1. And again, this is at wide angle. And here's the R50. Pretty close, I would say. Again, more of a saturation difference. Now this is a telephoto on the V1, the full telephoto of the V1, and not full on the R50 because I want to match them. Let's crop in again and take a look and see. Here's the V1 cropped in at telephoto. Here's the R50. Again, not a huge difference. And I found in the real world, when I took both cameras out into the city shooting, that I didn't pixel peep, just looked at them on their own, and both images looked really nice. Colors really nice. I saw no issues with lens sharpness. It focused very well, and both take great pictures. Now 4K 60 is something exclusive to the V1. You see the nice smooth motion that 4K 60 delivers. This does come at a cost of a crop. It's a tighter field of view than 4K 30. You know, there's always something interesting to shoot on the streets of New York. Now here is the R50 at 4K 30. You're not going to get that smooth motion that you did on the V1. But it still looks good. It still looks nice. It still looks sharp. I also want to show you some autofocus and how these cameras do, and I found they did very well. They have the latest Canon autofocus. You can see how it goes up close from this man's back of his neck to the background over there, and it will snap back in. It takes a couple of seconds, but it's confident. It doesn't hunt around.
So physically, the cameras are both pretty compact. Obviously, the V1 is more compact, helped out by that built-in lens. The V1 is available in black. The R50 is available in black and white, and I kind of like the white because it's just different. It does stand out a little more though and makes you a little more conspicuous, but coupled with this silver kit lens, it's a very nice combination, especially the little black around the trim of the viewfinder goes nicely with the lens cap on the kit lens.
The R50 weighs 328 grams for the body, but if you add in the lens, it's 458 compared to 426, so they're very close. Now, you can put the V1 in a large pocket, pants pocket, jacket pocket, so that's an advantage. The kit lens has an equivalent focal length of 29 to 72 millimeters. And while that's not a huge range, it's pretty adequate. You can get in tight if someone's in a little bit of a distance like here. The aperture is nothing to write home about, 4.5 to 6.3, so a little slowish. The V1 has a better aperture. It's wider and not as tight, but you can get a nice wide angle with the V1 like here, and on the R50, you can't get that wide, expansive view. But here with the V1, I didn't want to get too close to the cowgirl lady, but this is about as close as I could do because the zoom isn't as long. Now, there is a crop mode to get to 71 millimeters, but it drops the resolution to 11 megapixels. Now, the R50 has a bigger APS-C size sensor, 1.5 times bigger, but the aperture is slower, so I want to see how they compare in low light. And also listen to the audio from the onboard mics.
This is the R50. This is the R50 at wide angle. This is the R50. Here's the comparable shot on the V1. Comparable shot on the V1.
Now this is a pretty dark room. I want to crop into the corner to show you the differences. This is the V1. Look at that grain, that noise. And now when we go to the R50, it's a lot less. So the larger sensor is helping with low light performance.
This is fully zoomed in on the V1, fully zoomed in on the V1. This is fully zoomed in on the R50, fully zoomed in on the R50.
In addition to an oversampled 4K 30 video on the V1, there's 4K 60 video, but there is a crop. Both cameras have 1080p slow motion. Don't let the small V1 size fool you. It has some really nice video features, including optical image stabilization and digital stabe for video. The R50 doesn't have any in-body stabilization, but the kit lens has stabilization, as does other Canon lenses. Now, both of these cameras have the latest autofocus. You can tell it to track people, animals, or cars, and it works accurately. Both have that oversampled 4K 30 video, clean HDMI, you can use apps for your phone, same ISO for both. Time-lapse and panorama modes are common to both too. To spice up your photos, there's creative filter options for both. But the R50 has a viewfinder. That's important. I'm sort of an electronic viewfinder kind of guy, and to me, a camera needs a viewfinder to make it a real camera. Some of us struggle focusing our eyes on the screen and not being able to put it right up to a viewfinder, but honestly, after using the V1, I found using only the screen kind of interesting because it sort of frees you up. You don't have to put that viewfinder to your head, and I like the rapid response of the zoom mechanism. Unlike on the R50, it has a very clunky zoom ring on the kit lens. When the lens is fully retracted, you have to sort of jerk it open. It's not smooth at all, and the camera will remind you that it's retracted and won't work. The R50 has a built-in pop-up flash, more of like a pull-up flash, which is a very nice feature. Both these cameras, though, have a non-standard hot shoe connector, so if you want to use an external flash, you're limited to these two Canon flashes, or you have to invest in a multi-function shoe adapter, which is pretty annoying. Here are the V1's advantages to the R50, and most of them are video features like mic and headphone jacks, no record limit as opposed to about an hour on the R50, and it does have a 3-stop ND filter, the V1. And here are the R50 advantages. The big one is the lens flexibility, the whole line of Canon RF and RFS glass you can use, and you can use filters too, unlike the V1. I took both these cameras to compare them side by side at B&H Photo's Build Expo in New York City with some really cool sets set up, perfectly designed to compare these two cameras. Tell me what you think.
I recently got a comment about one of my comparison videos that I didn't come out and say at the end of the video which camera is better. So I took that into consideration, and in this video I'm going to try and tell you, but it's a little difficult in this case because it's almost like, do you like pizza or hamburgers better? Now, that may sound like a cop-out, but let me explain why. I don't think it is. Who are these for? If you are a vlogger, meaning one of those people that has his hand outstretched, does a lot of walking and talking, and you like to see the background and you want a nice wide angle, and that's your predominant use, then the V1 makes a lot of sense. It's definitely video focused. You have the 4K 60 option if you want. You have the cooling fan so you can have a real long time. There's no recording limit at all. If you are someone who's looking for like a travel camera, an all-around camera, a camera which takes very good video, oversampled 4K 30 video, and also is really designed nicely to take photos, has a viewfinder for stability. You can grow with the camera more because there's interchangeable lenses, so as time goes on, if you want to get into wildlife or birding, you can add one of the vast array of Canon's telephoto lenses. Even if you're a content creator or you make YouTube videos, you can still use the R50 without a problem. You do not need the V1 in order to do that. I really do like the styling and handling of the R50. I don't like having to push out the lens to extend it every time. It's kind of like a jerky feeling, and this lens is not that smooth. So I think if I was to keep this camera down the road, I'd probably invest in some higher quality lenses. Not necessarily expensive like this Sigma lens, which is a fixed 2.8 aperture and has about the same zoom range as this, but a much faster aperture and a little higher quality glass. Review soon to be coming on that one. And as far as the size goes, yeah, the V1 is smaller, but you know, honestly, I'm not putting either one of these cameras in my pocket anyway. While you can technically put the V1 in a very large, more of a jacket pocket, really don't recommend it. You don't want to introduce the option of getting dust in or lint from your pants or coat. I always think it's better to put a camera in a bag, so you're going to need a bag regardless. But having said that, I still think the V1 is a nice camera if you like cheese pizza, whatever that means.
Great. I was thinking Papa John's.
Well, that about sums it up for this video. If you got something out of it, please do hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for further Canon rumors. Again, there's going to be some new Canon cameras which are due to be coming out now. The current rumor is that they'll make an announcement towards the end of 25 for 2026. And I'm talking about a line of photography cameras, something like their G line, which they discontinued most of the cameras, but they were really good sellers. I think Canon realizes that is going to be an interesting market. See you in the next one.